Inspire yourself, inspire others, and smell great naturally with Inspire Bath deodorant sprays and lotions. We use them, we love them, and we think you will too. So just go to inspirebath.com.
Hi, this is FBG Jen. And FBG Kristen.
And I'm FBG Margot, host and producer. You're listening to the podcast that will help you keep a lid on the junk in the trunk and inspire you to live a happy and confident life.
Each episode, we chat with motivational experts and celebs and share our own candid adventures in being healthy. If you're looking for a podcast that's equal parts hilarious and enlightening, well then welcome to the Fit Bottomed Girls podcast.
Hey, Jen, Kristen, and Margot, I just want to say congratulations on your 100th episode of the Fit Bottom Girls podcast. You girls have done such an amazing job of motivating and inspiring women all around the world with true ideas and a true path to follow when it comes to health and fitness. No hype, not getting suckered into all that stuff that we tend to focus on that just doesn't need to be focused on. You girls, your message is so positive and inspiring. You know, love yourself, love others, do those little habits that are going to contribute to long-term health and fitness. And I've really looked up to you for standing behind that. Maybe isn't always the sexiest message, but it's the truth. And that's what people need, is the truth. So thanks for being so inspirational, and thanks for letting me be part of the process by joining you on your podcast and vice versa. And I just want to say I really look forward to the work that you girls are going to be doing in the future, because you're always top quality. Thanks so much.
Hey, Fit Bottom Girls, Audrey Dunham here. Thank you very much for having me on your fantastic podcast, a podcast that shares so much knowledge, so many stories, so many laughs, and a few tears here and there too. So many people get so much out of this podcast. Thank you for your time and your dedication. Once again, I love being on the show, and I hope to talk to you all again sometime soon. Congratulations on your 100 episodes.
Hello, everybody. It's Laura Jackson.
And Amanda Quinn.
And we're from Fit Chicks Academy, and we just want to wish you guys a huge congratulations on your 100th episode. So Jen, Margot, and Kristen, you guys are doing amazing things, and we are so pumped to see what you guys have next.
Yes, and we can't wait to join you again in the future for upcoming episodes.
Happy 100th.
Hey Fit Bottom Girls, this is Whitney English of Whitney ERD, and I wanted to wish you guys congratulations on 100 episodes. What an accomplishment. You guys are so awesome. You're just crushing it with your fun, informational content, and I wish you continued success.
This is Terry Cole, and I am so excited to congratulate the Fit Bottom Girls on their 100th podcast episode. You are really doing the good and hard work in the world, and you are making us laugh while you're doing it. Keep up the good work, and congratulations, you guys. I am proud to be a guest on your show.
Hi, I'm Kathy Smith, and I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Margot, Jen, and Kristen for their 100th episode. And I can't believe I was on the show 2 years ago, and what they've covered in the last 2 years is really remarkable as far as just getting the message out that live a healthy lifestyle, and you are going to be happier, you're going to be more joyful, you're going to have all these other things that come along with living a healthier lifestyle. And it's not about thinner thighs or tighter tummy or all those things that we think health is. It's really about taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and your relationships to your community. And I love the messaging. I love these gals. So congratulations.
Hey, it's Bob Harper, and I want to give a big, huge shout out for Fit Bottom Girls 100th episode. Can you believe? And I was on 2 of those shows, might I add. So Margot, Jen, Kristen, congratulations, and I hope for 100 more episodes, and you better have me on again.
Remember, this show is sponsored by our fave all-natural deodorant line, Inspire Bath. In fact, for every bottle you purchase, they donate one to help build and empower women and girls at shelters and interim homes. Get yours and help give back at inspirebath.com. Welcome back to the Fit Bottom Girls podcast. This is FBG Margot, and on the line today, we have FBG Jen. Hello. And we have FBG Kristen.
Yo.
And guess what, guys? This is our 100th episode.
100! Oh, that's great
crazy.
Isn't this batshit crazy? I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Maybe we should have some sort of a cursing warning on this one.
I can't help it, you guys. I'm just so chuffed, as they say in England. Like, I'm so excited and proud of what we've done. I think this has turned into such a fun show. And we didn't know what we were doing when we started. We all sort of took a leap of faith together. And I think we've just had some amazing guests. We put out so much, makes me happy, is we put out so much great information for people the last 2 years, and I'm just super proud of it. And I guess, I'm the one who came to you guys and said,
you are the reason, Margot.
Oh my God, pretty please trust me to do a good job with this. And you did. And I really appreciate you both for that. I can't tell you how much, I admire the both of you and how much it means to me that you let me do this. And please tell me how you think of the show, what your thoughts are.
Oh man, we are so happy that you didn't give up on us, that you were like, let's do this. And
that you forced us.
Yeah, that you lovingly forced us to show up and talk unscripted. But no, it's been so great. And Margot, you've done such a great job, and you've gotten such great guests and led such great conversations, and just so much gratitude to you. Thank you.
Well, I can't do it without you both. I think it's like the three of us, have these different backgrounds and different interests and different ways of looking at things. And I think that's just been like super fun for me. Okay, here we are, three white chicks, from that grew up in the suburbs, like stuff like that. You could think like we all think the same, but we don't. And, we have different ideas of things and how to look at things. And I think that's just been really fun too, just getting to know each other.
There's some magic here.
There really is.
Yeah. And it's, it's been good just personally, like it's been cool to be encouraged to stretch a lot outside of my comfort zone and realize that I really enjoy this. I look forward to not only talking to you guys, but I really do look forward to, to talking to all of our guests and seeing where the conversation goes. And it's interesting because I was listening to some of our earlier eps today, which, is a big deal for me because I have always had a hard time listening to my own voice, but I was listening. I'm like, God, this is good. And this is fun. And I also can see how we have grown and improved as we've been doing this. It just, and I can understand why, because it does feel more natural the more we do it. So yeah. So thank you guys for doing it. Thanks for continuing to push me and, giving me an opportunity to kind of grow with it. It's cool. And thank you to all of our listeners who have made this. If nobody was listening, then we probably wouldn't
do it.
We probably would have given up at some point.
We just have a phone calls with ourselves. Yeah.
Speaking of that, we have a fantastic 5-star review I want to read to you guys. And for you guys out there, if you listen to the show in Apple Podcasts, if you can leave us a 5-star review, we will read it on the air, and we would be so appreciative. And we do want to hear from you wherever you want to reach out to us, Facebook, Twitter, email, podcast@fitbottomgirls.com. But here we go. This is from K Willis 3398. This is Kim from Detroit. This podcast is a must in my feed. These three ladies have a wonderful chemistry that really helps convey the message of each episode. Listening to their fitness journeys along with their wonderful guests has really helped me try and get back on track in my own journey. This isn't just a nutrition podcast. It's not just a fitness podcast. It's a podcast for everyone looking to be a better version of themselves.
Aw,
right?
Yeah. Kim in Detroit?
Yes.
Her name is Kim, right?
Yep.
High five, Kim in Detroit. We love you.
Seriously.
Isn't she awesome? Thank you so much, Kim. Yeah, and I feel like that's what we've been doing, because we're not about like the 6-pack abs or deprivation or, you're not good enough. This is how you can be better. Like, that's not our message at all. And I feel like I love what we do because our message is super consistent. And that's another thing that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, Kim, just so you know, I would say a solid 25% of the time when we're recording this, I'm wearing my Tigers hat. So I'm not sure.
Oh.
I'm just assuming based on the fact that she's from Detroit, she's going to be a Tigers fan. So girl, I'm with you. Don't ask me to actually talk about the team. I don't know who's on it right now, but they are my team. I don't care how we do. I'm never going to transfer. I'm Tigers for life.
So I was challenging you guys. Can you name some of your favorite episodes and moments? And I guess, Jen, what are some of yours?
Okay. So I have so many. I started looking through. Well, first I wrote down the ones that first came to mind, and I was like, okay, that's a good start. And there was like 10. And then I started looking at the entire list and I was like, oh gosh, there's so many good ones. But I did narrow it down to 3. The one that, this is no surprise to anyone, I'm sure, because I am such a big Bob Harper fan and I have such a personal connection with him. You know what I mean? Not to brag, but I feel like we have a personal connection. And yeah, we do. And the craziest thing is that so when we talked to him the second time after he'd had his heart attack and we went into that, and he was so candid about that experience and, very vulnerable with it all, that really struck a chord with me, obviously. And then this summer, my dad he had a heart attack and he's okay now. He had a triple bypass. He's all great. But he had the same type of heart attack that Bob had. And that episode for me personally, looking back on it, it gave me so much knowledge about heart health that I didn't have and a deeper awareness of the importance of heart health that I didn't have. And I had conversations with my dad after we had talked to Bob about it, where I had with both my parents, and we're talking about what had happened to him and how scary it was and why we, kind of need to be on top of this. And we need to he recommended that one cholesterol test. And so I went and got that done. And I really think that that's part of easily my dad could have died. And I really think that some of that awareness truly saved my dad's life, because he was more aware to listen to those signs, to be like, oh my gosh, something's really wrong here. I need to go to the hospital. I need to go to the hospital now.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks, Bob.
Yeah. That's
oh my gosh. Thanks,
Can you
Bob.
top that, Kristen?
No, well, I mean, I got a couple other lighter episodes.
I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys.
I won't be bad. But that is the one that personally I'm just like, holy crap, that really, really, really actually changed my life.
Right.
And then I love the sleep doctor. It was such a heady conversation, I feel like, and not something that I even thought was going to be as fascinating as it ended up being, but I was completely just riveted and fascinated. And I still want to have him back on, Margot.
Me too.
It was fascinating. So if you haven't listened to Sleep Doctor, it's number 75. Check that one out. Bob Harper, the one we're talking about, was number 64 for those of you looking at your feed. And then my third favorite one was Hannah Williams, who I swear is my mom friend that I didn't know that I had, but I have. She's the wine mom in progress. She was just so funny and down to earth. And I really enjoyed talking to her. And it kind of just made me feel better about all of the parenting struggles and the good times and the bad times. And it kind of helps me to have actually a little bit more fun with my daughter, because just kind of see everything as an adventure and kind of silly and make it more fun. So moms definitely listen to Hannah Williams, especially maybe when you have a glass of wine.
And also follow her on Instagram. And I'm not a mom. And I'm not into mommy grammars as much. She is so fun. She first of all has this gorgeous hair, teal colored hair. And she's so down to earth, like you said. I really enjoy following her. And I love talking to her too. She was I think we were her first podcast, as a matter of fact, if memory serves, which it doesn't always,
so.
But
it was crazy because she's on BuzzFeed and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So it was great.
Awesome. So Kristen, do you have any choices you want to share?
Yeah. Same thing, where I was going through our list and I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I choose? Because I've got all these really, really cool memories from so many of them. So I think early on we talked to movement expert Katie Bowman, which I was excited about because I've read her books. And so I kind of tried to focus on some of the episodes that stayed with me in almost a visceral way afterwards. And the ones that I remember getting off the recording and going and talking to people about it for days afterwards. So anyway, that was kind of my criteria for what I chose, because all of them were really good. But yeah, Katie's was one that I feel like I'm still sharing knowledge from that, and I'm still incorporating things that she recommended, because it's just, it's not that we should all be standing all day. It's not that we should all be, we know we shouldn't all be sitting all day. But what is it that we should be doing? And so she, of course, takes it a little bit to a more extreme level than I'm willing to go. But I really love knowing what some of these different options are for how we can incorporate more movement throughout our day in a really natural and easy way. And then let's see, episode 38 with Tony Carey of Black Girls Run. That was a really eye-opening discussion for me when she talked a lot about the importance of representation. And that was just a concept that I knew was important, but I don't think that I had really thought it through in so many words. And I really look at marketing and, in the makeup of who's involved in different organizations. Like, I look at it differently after talking to her. That interview changed me kind of fundamentally. And the same thing with episode 58, Andrea Renee, where we were talking about creating positive social change and being an ally. I mean, it's just, I walked away and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are things that I can do. These are things that I have to do. And, sometimes, and often they're things that I am making a point to do and I feel very proud of. And then, one of the others, of course, was really memorable with Susan Lakey, triathlete and author of Life's Too Short to Go So Fucking Slow, because we were in my kitchen together doing it. And that's the first time I've ever done that with somebody in person. And then we did that with video Skype with you guys. So that was, aside from the fact that it was just really fun and we got to share some memories of how we had raced together and, it was kind of equal parts touching and funny. So I loved that. Yeah.
Those are great.
Those are great choices.
Thank you. Oh, and then also I've got to share one of my favorite moments was really early on with Kate Burness from Sports Center in Canada, challenging her, sort of joking, but not entirely joking, to a game of horse, which I'm still ready to go. I'm still in.
Oh, by the way, Kristen and I are always on the Canadian guests list. Like every time there's a Canadian guest, Kristen and I are usually handling those interviews.
Yeah. Not on purpose.
No.
It just happens.
We're just a couple of Canada files. I remember that one because she was so down to earth. Like, she's super popular in Canada. And she was just, we were like, oh, hey, how you doing? And she said, we're both Canada files. She goes, so do you know any guys up here? Like, she just, she's just a cool single chick, like has a great job. And she just was so nice and normal and down to earth.
Yes. Like, that was when I got off the phone with her. And I felt like, other than the fact that I'm not going to call her to be like, hey, want to hang out? I felt like I could call her and be like, hey, want to hang out?
Right.
But I won't. Don't worry, Kate. I'm not that weird.
So some of my favorites also, the sleep doctor. I was, if every guest could be like Michael Bruce, and we've had awesome guests. Like, he had such good information because we hear the same things over and over, turn off the electronics, if you want to get more sleep, like that, we all hear that stuff to death. Like, if you're a really bad sleeper like I am, you really want some new ideas and someone who has the latest research. And he had both. And I have a friend who lives in Australia, and Binksy, hi Binksy, and she listens to us out in Melbourne. And she loved that episode. Like, she reached out to me to say how helpful it was and how great he was to listen to.
And I feel like it was just the tip of the iceberg for him. Like, he's like, oh, no, this is just like a small little bit of everything that you could know about improving your sleep. And it's just fascinating. And
as somebody who edits the show, he is one of the ones that, like, he never says or He had an answer for everything, never had to pause, nothing. Like, boom. He is
Dream guest.
Yeah, he is. He was just exceptional. So, yeah, we should have him back on again. And then, I don't know, I love this so much when we had Jillian Michaels. And she was promoting her book about parenting. And I loved her quote about moms, like, you can have it all, but you're just going to do it a little bit shittier from now on. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was, like, so cool and down to earth. And I loved having her there. And then Kathy Smith, I completely geeked out when we had Kathy Smith on the show. I was so nervous. This is when I used to read the intros, and I had to stop doing that because it would take forever. But she was, you could just, and I'd screw up a word. Oh my God. I would screw up a word and it would screw me up for the whole interview. So behind the scenes, I read those later. But for Kathy, I read every sentence because I was so proud to have her on our show. And I thought she was such a great guest. We could have talked to her for another hour.
Yeah, she gave us a lot of time too.
Yeah,
she did. Yeah,
so
she was very generous.
Yeah, she was super generous. So, yeah, so those are like the ones that kind of stick out for me. Oh, also, I'm sorry, Jet Set Sarah, her travel one.
Yes,
I thought that was so much fun. She is such a fun guest.
So for her, that is the one line that I think of every single time I see an airplane, every single time I'm in an airport or like even see a commercial where it's like airline miles, I think of it every single time. I think of her line, the theater of the concourse. I thought that was just so beautiful and such a good, positive way to look at travel and flying and all that kind of stuff, where it can kind of seem stressful to like maybe miss your flight, or there's people who are like pissed off because like things have gotten changed or weather or whatever. And instead it's just like, oh, look at the theater of the concourse here just unfolded in front of me. This is so fantastic.
She was so great.
So I always arrive at least 2 hours before the flight, not only because I just enjoy the theater of the concourse. I love to look around and see where people think about where people are traveling, why they're traveling. I mean, think about it. Airports are such seasonless, timeless places. Somebody walks by you and they're in jean shorts. Somebody else walks by and they're in a fur coat. Someone is going for a happy occasion. Someone is traveling for a really sad occasion. I think it's just an interesting environment.
I loved her attitude. I think of that all the time.
And you have to follow her on Instagram too.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, did you guys have any other like really surprising, episodes that really surprised you, or any really specific moments that you want to share?
I have a few. So
let's hear it.
So for me, Kristen, it was with Meb Kavlezgi.
Yeah.
Kavlezgi. You were talking to him just before the show, and I caught you guys like just before we started the interview, and you two talking. I think it's just the cutest damn thing ever.
Hi, Kristen. How you doing?
I'm great. And Meb, I have so many friends who are so jealous of me right now. So I am really excited about this.
So do you want to do you want to do FaceTime so we can take a picture of it?
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, good. Well, I appreciate the support, and tell your friends I said hello and thanks for their support.
You bet.
And then the other time we had Rana Ambrose. She's another Canadian, and she used to worked for the government, but right before, and she was at Parliament. She did it like from her office. So so we had Rana on the show, and it was the day she had introduced the International Day of the Girl, like that celebrated around the world. And she was going to have Malala over that evening for a reception to give her Canadian citizenship. And she gave Fit Bottom Girls like a good 20, 30 minutes before that to talk to us. And just before the show, she said just something really sweet to us. And I played it at the time, and you guys can look for that. But that was like just an exceptional moment. And then, I don't know, also Kristen and I, when we talked to Molly Sims, I loved talking to her, and she was so sweet. And I just like, she shocked me because Kristen, you were like, so what's your favorite part of yourself or your personality, or you have a favorite body, part of your body is your hair, your smile. And she goes, I can't name anything. And it was because she was a model for so long that she was so used to being scrutinized, and it really like brought it home to me, like how we're all like the same, like we're all have the same insecurities and deep down.
Yeah. You have to like, I don't know, I'm very conscious of being like, okay, this is where I am. This is, what I'm going to love, but it's hard. I'm not going to lie. Like I've been in a business so long that even when I was a size 0, I always felt there was something wrong. Isn't that sad to admit?
Yeah,
it is.
But it's not. Jen, what about you?
Well, the Theater of the Concourse, Jet Set Sarah, for sure. I also really, really took a lot from Amy Baltzel. We talked to her. She was a sports psychologist, and I thought it was interesting because I seem to really like kind of some of our heady guests. I'm a little dorky. But she really kind of got into the psychology of being an athlete and the psychology of goal settings and kind of what it's like when you don't have that carrot to chase anymore. And I just found that entire thing to be really interesting. And then she really brought like a mindfulness element into it that I don't think is something that you typically get when it comes to like sports athletes a lot. Like it's not part of vernacular, if you will. So she talked a lot about like how treating yourself with kindness creates courage, and then what to look for in a workout buddy. And, when it's not just mind over matter, when you really need to listen to your body. And so I thought for someone, who, trains pretty hard or works out pretty hard or does have some big goals to set, I thought it was a really introspective episode all about getting to the root, all that stuff makes me just tick. But getting to the root of, your inner motivation, why you really want to do something, and then giving yourself that unconditional self-love. That's always my jam. So she spoke to that, and I really love that.
Nice.
Yeah. Anything else for you, Kristen?
Yeah. So when we spoke with Erin Lochner, the author of Chasing Slow, I was certain that she would be a good interview. I've spoken with her multiple times before, but she had a recommendation that was sort of revolutionary for me. And it was, the idea of putting your phone, like literally away, like in a drawer, or, having a book by it in the kitchen. So when you go to do, just your mindless scrolling, instead, maybe you read a few pages of your book. And I'm not even going to pretend that I have been diligent about this, but it did make a difference in how I approach my phone use. And I do think that I'm a bit better. I have a long way to go, but I'd like to stick with that. So that was one of those moments where it was such an aha for me. And then the other one that for me, kind of the big surprise, was we talked to Rory Fairburns of 1 Year No Beer.
Yeah.
And I knew it was another one that I'm like, oh yeah, this will be interesting to hear, because it's not a program for people battling, who are alcoholics. It's a program for people who realize, they're kind of socially conditioned to drink fairly frequently, and maybe want to investigate that and break free of what that habit has become. And this, you guys, this one has been a slow burn in my brain, because that was episode 54, which I'm not sure what the date was when we recorded it, but it was a while ago. It was for sure at least like a year ago. And I have thought more and more about that. And I haven't done their official program, but right now, as we're recording this, I actually just sort of naturally stepped away from drinking. And I'm not saying that it's a permanent thing. I don't intend for it to be, but I've been incorporating a lot of what he talked about. And let's see, I have a note here. Oh, so he talks about how part of the reason so many of us drink is because we all hurt. And part of the reason it can be hard to not have a drink, especially in certain settings, is because then we have to investigate or examine that hurt. And really, we can't dull it. We can't just make it go away. You have to just see it head on and deal with it. And it's true. And I just think it's been interesting. And I think that episode gave me some inspiration, and maybe gave me the insight that I needed to be ready to, to just be a little more curious about that and approach it in a way that wasn't scary, in a way that was really just I'm interested to see what this is all about.
He was a great guest too. He's another one.
He was so good.
So much personality when he's speaking. He could just feel his passion for it. And yeah, he was one of my favorites. And that was one of the ones I thought I lost it.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Me
too.
Oh my God. And then I found it out of nowhere. I managed to grab it because he lives in England. And so it was very hard to set up the interview. And then when we got it, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because it was such magic. I mean, he's such, like I said, he's such a good interview. That is such a great choice, Kristen.
Thank you. And also his accent is wonderful.
Delicious.
It's really fun to listen to. Yeah. So even if you're like, Kristen, your voice is enough, I'm over it. Go and listen to Rory.
He's one of the ones also, I would say, him and Irish Greg, who also ran a marathon every week for a year.
Yes.
He's Irish. The two of them, those were cases where I normally tell people I'll take out the ums and ahs. I couldn't for them. It would have taken me a week. At some point, you're just like, that's just how they talk over there. Let it be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The accent covers it up.
Oh. And
yes.
So dream guests. Jen, do you want to go first? Who are your dream guests?
Oh, gosh.
Put this out to the universe.
I know. Really, with okay, let me bring my full sparkle fingers. Magic thoughts. Good vibes here. I have 3. They are all female. Serena Williams, which I think I have said a number of times. Or Venus. Serena and Venus. Let's go big. Serena and Venus Williams. Michelle Obama. I mean, come on. And Brene Brown. I would love to talk to Brene Brown about really anything. I mean, anything. Like vulnerability, obviously, but I know she's got a new book out on vulnerability and leadership and being bold. So I would love to talk about that. And then just, I mean, really, like, what does she do every day? How does she stay so inspired? Things are working. She just like spits out truth, I feel like, all the time. So I love her. She's a great follow on Instagram. What about you guys?
Kristen?
Well, okay. So one that I was thinking of, just because I'm like, I have no idea where the conversation would go, and I think it would be so fun. I think Reese Witherspoon would be a blast.
She would be fun.
Because she's just like, she's so involved in so many different things. And, and then like she's got good book choices, and she seems like she'd be funny and sweet and have the parenting thing. And so I think and it's not like I'm not a giant fangirl. Like, I respect her, but I was just thinking about like, who would be fun to have on the phone and chat. And she seems like she would be. Amy Cuddy, who is the psychologist who behind the idea of power postures, which has been just a life-changing thing for me. I think she would be amazing to get on here, because that is just some incredible, such interesting research, and really just something that can change your life in 2 minutes. If you guys are not familiar, seriously, just look up Amy Cuddy Power Posture TED Talk, and you got it. And then, you guys are going to laugh, but I'm putting it out there. Chris Hemsworth.
I knew you were going to say it.
I knew
yes.
You were going to say it. I knew it.
You knew what it was. I think that he is a delight. And it's not only because I have a crush on him, although I totally do and I own it, but I mean, his workouts are crazy intense. But he seems like, if you follow him on Instagram, like, he seems like an actual real person that people like to be around, which I think is pretty incredible given the demands of his job, the demands of being a dad, and then the demands of, honestly, like, keeping his body in the kind of shape it needs to be in for what he does. So I think he would be so fun, and I am certain that we would laugh the whole time. And Chris, we would make you laugh too. We're fun.
Mm-hmm. He would be really fun to have on.
I am totally on board with that. Trust me.
Oh yeah. And you know what? If we have to do it in person, like, it was really fun to do that with Susan Lake. He can come and sit in the kitchen with me. I don't mind.
We have to be on Skype though. Yes.
Yeah. Then that would,
like,
yeah.
Skype video
that is a video. That'll be like our first video podcast.
All right. So
Margo, how about you?
So for me, number one actually is Dr. Jen Gunter. She's big on Twitter. She's a gynecologist. She's all about science. She's all about women's health, women empowerment. She hates junk science. She hates people that prey on women with their bad research, to scare them into. I hate when people try to scare you into healthy.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. She goes after Goop when they write something really silly. And we almost had her. We were so close. And then she had some speaking gigs, and then I lost touch with her. So I know she has a book coming out soon. She's writing one. So when it comes out, I'm dying to have her on the show. She's so witty and sharp. I just think she's a cat lady.
If you go to her Twitter page, currently the head is, "My vagina is terrific. Your opinion about it is not."
Yes! And
I think that just kind of sums up why we want her on the show.
She writes op-eds for the New York Times. She's just brilliant and funny as shit. And I just think we would have a great time with her. So just putting that out in the universe. Second, it's a wild card, but Chrissy Teigen, I think she's funny and amazing. And we think we would have so much fun with her. And we'll talk about whatever she wants to talk about. Trust me. I know she can make it great. She's so quick. And then Leslie Jones from SNL. Oh
my God, yes.
That'd be great.
She works out all the time, and she's always posting on Twitter and Instagram, and she's a huge fan of the Olympics. They always send her to the Olympics to cheer everybody on. I adore her, and I think we would have so much fun with her on the show.
Yes.
Yep.
As much as I love the Olympics, she being a part of the Olympics is my favorite part of the Olympics. Yep. Like, she is amazing.
She was so hilarious. So lastly, I wanted you guys to think about this. Like, what's the biggest lesson you've learned doing this show? So, Jen, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I thought about this for a while, and I think there are so many good lessons in general. But I think the one that really stands out to me kind of has to do with, we always go into a show, we have our questions in mind, we know what general topic we're going to cover, what they want to talk about, what we want to talk about. And the conversation almost inevitably leads to those places, but sometimes to new places. And almost always my favorite answers to some questions has to do with just like, how did you get into this? How did you become an expert in this? What led you to this place? And so that whole idea that, we all have a story to tell. And most of the time we're talking to people that have struggled with something and then they've learned about it, overcome it. And then they're sharing what they've learned, and they're sharing, not just tips to, help you in your life, which are always great, but they're sharing their own personal experience. So I think especially in just today, everything happening today, it's really important. It helps me to remember that everyone has, pain, everyone has struggles, everyone deals with it in their own ways, and just that everyone has a story, and it's always not what you think it is. So just a good openness there.
That's great. What about you, Kristen?
Well, I think that, prior to doing this, I had, through my work, prior to Fit Bottom Girls, I had interviewed a lot of people and, been on the horn with a lot of pretty big names. But it's been, it's an interesting shift for me to do that here with people coming to be our guests. Because this show, yes, it's the Fit Bottom Girls podcast, but it's us. It is Margot, Jen, and Kristen. So it's a confidence boost, and it's also very, it keeps me feeling very real and humble and vulnerable, knowing that people, when they say yes to giving us, 30 minutes or 60 minutes or whatever of their time, and that they're willing to open up about sometimes topics that are really deep and maybe, sometimes very difficult to talk about. What an honor is that to have people willing to do that and be recorded so that we can share that with other people. Because, a real conversation, and I think that we have good, real conversations here where there is a give and take, there is a listen and a response. And we aren't just waiting for someone to finish so that we can jump in with what we want to say. Like you said, Jen, the conversation does not always go exactly in the order that we anticipate. Right. So we're listening and we're trying to, to change paths as it goes when needed. But man, it's just really cool to look back at all of these episodes and all of these people who are like, yes, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to share my story with you and with your listeners. And, and they're so generous. They're so forthcoming. And I don't know, I didn't know I would appreciate it this much. So that's been a really interesting lesson to see how much how much gratitude I have for all the people involved who are not us. Although I'm super grateful for you two as well, as I think you know. But
yeah,
everybody else, that was unexpected.
That is really true. Because people really do bring their A game, or not even their A game. They just that is surprising. You just ask them a deep personal question, and they're like, "Okay, here's a deep personal answer."
Right, like Molly Sims.
Yeah, right, yes. Exactly. Here's the truth.
Yeah, that's the same thing we hear. I remember when she answered it, and she answered it so honestly and told us that, I was just like, oh, that's right. She's a person,
Yeah.
And she's seeking like we're seeking,
Yep.
Everyone's on their journey. And so that's something that's been a big lesson for me. And listening, I feel like I'm a much better listener now. Cause we do the show just peeling behind the curtain. We can't see each other. So we're in 3 different locations. So we've learned to pause in between, to let the other one, because sometimes you're in mid thought and I don't know that. I think you're done talking, and then I would talk and then you would continue your sentence and it would sound awkward. I've become much, much better about listening, and I've carried that over into my life. And I find I used to interrupt people a lot just because I was hyper, or I just, I'm a better listener now. And I think that's improved my life tremendously. I hear people better.
Aw.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you were a poor listener before, but for the record.
But
I'm like, that's really awesome.
But we can all improve on things. And so that's like for me. And then also, I don't know about you guys, but when I listen to other shows and podcasts and radio and stuff, I can really notice the good interviewers. Like I really kind of note them. I'm just like, wow, that was good. Like they have good transitions. They don't sound nervous. They have great ideas. And the best ones, they listen to the person talking. Because sometimes people will surprise you and not just say PR speak. They will talk right from their heart. And you should be prepared for that and honor that moment.
Yeah, that's so true. Those are the best moments.
They certainly are. So, you guys, it's been 100 shows. I'm looking forward to 100 more with you.
Yeah. Let's bring in all those dream guests. Plus, we really do have so many other good guests in the hopper that we've already recorded.
Oh.
I mean, so many. The next, we are set up for some goodness here.
You guys, just so we're constantly recording new shows, and we have some great people in the hopper right now. I was just looking at our files, like, oh my God, we could be doing this for years if we want to.
Yeah,
we kind of can't stop ourselves.
We
we'll
really
be like,
can't.
okay, we need to slow down, and then we'll be like, but this person looks amazing. Let's have this conversation.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that's super cool, right? Is, we're talking about our dream guests and there's some big names in there, but like some of the biggest, most exciting conversations we've had have been with people whose names we maybe did not know prior to them or their people reaching out to us. Like there was one other that I didn't mention. Is it Leslie Alderman? Where she talked about like kind of the science of happiness. And like that one did so well. It was so interesting. And I prior to reading something she had written in the New York Times.
I found that article and I sent it to you guys. I was like, we have to talk to this woman. Yeah. And she was fascinating.
Amazing guest. So it's really cool to see how many new contacts we've made through this. And you never know who's going to just blow your mind.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. So I want to say thank you, by the way, to all the people that sent us congratulations. Like it's just our cup runneth over.
Oh,
I'm still recording them, so there's going to be a couple of surprises for you two you don't even know about yet. So,
oh my gosh.
I know. And you guys, please send us an email, podcast@fitbottomgirls.com. Reach out to us on Facebook at FitBottomGirls. Twitter is at FitBottomGirl. Instagram, FitBottomGirls. Please reach out. Tell us what your favorite shows are and who your dream guests are and say hi. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're in Apple Podcasts, you like what you hear, please leave a 5-star review. Promise you we will read it on the air. And guys, cheers to 100 more.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you to both of you. And thank you to all of our amazing listeners.
The FBGs would like to thank the following people who sent along congratulations at the top of our show. Our own Fit Bottom dude, Dave Smith from the Make Your Body Work podcast and blog. You can hear him on episodes 16, 28, and 62. Audrey Dunham. You can find her at audreydunham.com, and she was featured in episode 73. The Fit Chicks, Laura Jackson and Amanda Quinn, who are our guests for episode 95. You can find them at the Fit Chicks Academy, and their own podcast is called the Fit Chicks Chat Podcast. Nutrition expert Whitney English Tabai, who was featured in episodes 80 and 85. You can find her at whitneyerd.com. Terry Cole, our special guest from episode 60. You could find her at terrycole.com, and she spells Terry, Terri, and her podcast is called the Hello Freedom Podcast. Kathy Smith from episode 11, you can find her at kathysmith.com, and her podcast is called The Art of Living with Kathy Smith. And finally, Bob Harper, who's our special guest on episodes 5 and 64. His latest book is called The Super Carb Diet, and it's available wherever you get your books. And be sure to check out his show, 2 Cups In, on Instagram at Bob Harper. We just want to say thank you all so much for offering your congratulations. We literally could not have done this without you. Love this show? Tell us why in a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll read it on the air. Also, make sure you are a subscriber. If you want to reach out to say hi or have a question about a recent episode, well, feel free to email us at podcast@fitbottomgirls.com. And if this podcast jives perfectly with your brand, consider sponsoring the show. Get more info by emailing advertising@fitbottomgirls.com. Find all kinds of Fit Bottom goodness online and on social media at Fit Bottom Girls, Fit Bottom Mamas, Fit Bottom Eats, and Fit Bottom Zen. And if books and movies are your thing, check out the other podcast I co-host called Book versus Movie, which you can find anywhere where you search for podcasts. Thanks for listening.